Welcome into the Command Center podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss. And before we get started, before we get anything going, just make sure you guys stay tuned to the very end of this podcast. We have a very special announcement.
Very special.
What is it? I have no idea. We'll find out when we get there. The second most important thing after that first thing is that today is Fred Smoot's birthday. It's the day that the good Lord graced us with the mouth of the South.
Yes, he did.
And all of his wonderful Fredisms.
I was born at 4 o'clock. I think it was 4:44.
That's your 40 time.
That's when the doctor held me up.
No, that's your 40 time.
He held me up in the hospital like this. And right now, I'm happy today to say I'm 26 years old.
Congratulations.
So I'm getting younger. I got Benjamin Button disease.
And you happy for that. And I hate to say that the day is my mom's birthday as well. So
yes, I love it.
So how is that?
He had the love of Aries.
But that's what it is. But you know what it is, though? Me and Fred always hit it off, man. So it was just, I guess it was just, a coincidence that, you was a good person.
Happy birthday, Miss Mouse, all day long.
There you go.
So, Fred, do you have let's celebrate today. We have another special segment for your birthday, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But for you, do you have a special birthday story you'd like to share or a special football story you'd like to share?
My birthday, to me, the best one I ever had is synonymous with me and Tanner's draft.
Okay.
My birthday was the 17th.
Oh, right. Yeah.
18th.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So it's always been not only a birthday present, it was the biggest life present of all time. Because
That's kind of cool.
Because I think most people don't understand. We start dreaming about this stuff at 5, 6, 7 years old. Mm-hmm. Then we watch football, we watch the greats, and before you know it, we in the locker room with them. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I think we take for granted on a draft day is it ain't just getting drafted. That's the dream, get drafted. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, what city am I a part of?
Yeah.
Let's still stay in this area because of the city.
Right.
Like, no Packers still stay in Green Bay. Right? So it's more than just, getting drafted, who you represent, what you're going to play. You can actually live the rest of your life and identify with that place in the DMV I identify with.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, because it is your birthday, we all got you presents.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Look how excited you are. I love it. I'm going to give you my present first, and I'm really excited about this.
Didn't you, or something like that?
I got you a watch. It had an engraving on it.
Yeah,
so let's be nice about it.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is mine. So I got you some sweat towels, okay? Because when you get nervous on the show, you get really sweaty. So I figured you could use these just in case of emergency. And I'm not being mean. This is a thoughtful present for a guy who's got an issue with sweating.
I get shiny like Jermaine Jackson.
You get
I got
shiny.
Jermaine Jackson's
Yeah, you get shiny. So, and it's good. It works for the show. It's funny. But instead of just continuing to make fun of you about it, I figured why not give you a present?
And he brought me microfiber. I hope you know this is for cars.
Dude, that's like to keep that nice shine on there, man. Keep that nice gleam on there, boy.
And I'm gonna tell you like this. I see you a lot especially when you was playing basketball.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that dude legs, they ain't right. So I don't want to see you out there pulling no hamstrings. So I bought your hamstring roller. If you want to ask me why I ran, you say you ran the 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, But this is how I ran my 4.2. I used this right beforehand. So I know you're getting up in age, man.
So when we race, Fred, then you can make sure you got that in the bag.
I can use this after I ride my bike today.
Dog, have you seen a picture of the bike?
Not yet.
I haven't seen a picture
Real
of the bike.
bike riders don't show their bike to everybody unless you part of the
what's
bike
funny?
gang I'm in.
I've never seen a picture of Tana's bike, but I know Tana's got a bike.
Well, I got a pedal bike. And
I bet I could pull it up on my phone, though. You can't.
I can. I just joined the bike gang like 3 weeks ago.
Could you imagine? What are you wearing, like leather on the 2 pedals?
I got the biker shorts with the butt pads on. It's on now.
I do. It's still like you've hurt me, Fred.
Yeah.
Because you've lied to me so many times. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not real. And Jason also got you a present.
I did get you a present, Fred. You're the glue for this podcast. I really think so. That has nothing to do with it. I just wanted to praise you, say thank you for being a part of this podcast.
Because no one wants us to pick on Fred.
Helping my producer Jason's life much easier, right, having you on. But you keep talking about bowling all the time. I know you love it.
Yeah.
But you have to go to a bowling alley to bowl.
Yeah.
I do.
False.
Yeah.
False.
Not anymore.
Look at that.
I got you a bowling set that you can take anywhere.
I can use it with my kids.
Yeah.
You gotta practice.
Now you can bowl wherever you want.
You gotta practice.
Hey, man, y'all some great dudes. Don't believe the stuff people say about y'all.
No doubt. So happy birthday, Fred. Again,
Yeah, man. Happy
like Jason
birthday.
said, thank you for being, what is it, the Michael Jackson to the Jackson 5 here.
Thank
as we
you.
always
Somebody
like to
gotta
say.
step up.
Someone's got
Justin
to.
Timberlake.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake.
To the NSYNC, huh?
Beyonce, whoever you are, whoever you want to be
Destiny
that day.
Child, you know.
That's right. But let's start talking about some football.
Yeah. All right.
You okay with that?
I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. Let's talk about some football. So one of the things that I've noticed being around the building, just being here every day when we come and do the show, is there's a dog mentality in it, right? And it's something that I think Dan Quinn is trying to promote and cultivate. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, just to kind of start us off, is you guys have been part of new staffs, new cultures,
Yeah.
right? How does the coach, like, what are some methodologies in your past the coaches used to get that cultural change across? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is now how we do things as commanders. This is now how we do things as, when I was a Bear, that was a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got any insight on that?
First of all, you start by separating what you want to keep from what you don't want to keep. All right? Then you substitute players of your ilk and guys you want. What I can say is, just looking at some of these interviews by these guys bite ankles and steal. These are football guys. You know what? To be a good football player, you got to be a little case of the lunatic, right? You got to kind of be kind of crazy. And what we had, I would say last year, we had some good guys, good citizens.
Yeah.
All right? We had some church guys. All right? Now we got a mixture of guys in here. And that's what you need to have. All right? We got some guys that, hey, kind of wild. We got some guys that do everything in line. And we also got some guys that eat, breathe, and live football. And you can tell. Like, you can really tell because you stick a mic in their face and they really ain't got nothing to say. But you know what? I can't wait to play.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to prove to y'all who I am and what I can do.
And that's something I think people sleep on quite a bit, is really literally just identifying people that you want that mentality in the building.
Yes,
You know
I
what I'm
want
saying?
him.
Yeah, because it's ultimately the guys that make the culture, right?
Yeah.
So like, I can talk about being tough till I'm blue in the face, but if I don't have tough people, I'm not going to be a tough team.
I think you hit it on the head. It's the guys. It's the guys you bring in.
Yeah.
And I remember my most fondest memory of being a part of a culture that amplified that this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is who we want to be. It was at University of Miami. Now, let me remind you, when I came into to UM, it was 97. They was way far away from those dogs.
Removed from the glory years.
Those years. The teams before us that I watched as a senior in high school had nothing what we had when we came in. The class that I came in a part, even though I walked on to that class, we wanted to bring that back. The class before us had a couple of guys that was trying to do the same thing. So together, we made it our duty to say, hey, everything we do is about competition. Everything we do is about, nigga, if you ain't doing your job, you're out of here. We set the tone. So when I listen to the coach Quinn way and I listen to how Joe Witt sat here and talked about it, they basically letting you know, they setting the tone, vocally by saying this is what we want.
Competition.
Now, I'm pretty sure by them talking to us, they told us that. I'm sure in those classrooms, they saying the same thing. Look, this is what we want. We want competition at every level. We want you guys to come around. We want guys to fly around. So eventually guys hearing that and it's going to stick. They're going to like, okay, this is what we got to do. So every guy that comes in, every guy that they brought in, they saying to themselves like, this is what they want. They brought me here to light that fuse.
To do this.
You know what I mean? To be that guy, to be that glue to what we're trying to do here. So that's how I look at it, and it's all about you just hit it on the head. The guys you bring in here, you bringing guys in here to say, yeah, it's guys here already who was a part of another culture, but I brought you here to show them what I want.
Yeah. Yes, and you brought that up. You brought some guys that the standard is higher than the standard was here before they got here. Think about it. I met a linebacker. I call him Mr. Bobby Yellow Jacket. All right, when he stands up in that defensive locker room or in that locker room period, Super Bowl winner, perennial Pro Bowler, perennial playoff guy, sit down. You sit down, you sit down. I got it from here.
Yeah,
I got it from here. All right? I know what it takes to get to the mountaintop. I've been there. I've done that. And if anybody else in here can say they have and want to help, just stand up and say it now.
Yeah.
All right? So at the end of the day, you can't question him.
And not only that, just I'm just remembering some of the things that went on here. Where as a player, I remember London first day in practice.
Yeah,
London hit somebody, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how we practice now. Like it changed. You know what I mean? So
because of him,
I could just imagine that what Bobby's gonna do. Bobby gonna hit somebody in that practice, and they gonna be like, oh yeah, we ain't out here butting up no more.
Oh, yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So that's what you do when you ask the question, and you kind of gave the answer, but. Just to chime in on it, man, it's about the guys you bring in. And when you repeating yourself throughout those meetings, it's not going to take long for the guys who was able to be lucky enough to be a part of this new culture because they know that they're good enough to be here. Yeah. But it's not going to take long because they're going to know now, oh, yeah, the competition level has just risen. These guys behind me not here to let me just go out here and do my thing.
Not to let me be comfortable.
Bingo.
Yeah. And I think that not letting you be comfortable is super important because, eventually – it's going to pull everybody across. You got a couple guys kind of pulling the rope and have everybody realize, man, I'm going to get crushed by this rock if I don't start pulling too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So getting everybody lined up on the same page. And I remember when Mike was here, he didn't do anything super rah-rah, Mike Shanahan. Yeah. Didn't do anything super rah-rah, but he was like, this is the standard of behavior for this team and for this organization. And, I was with other organizations, had other coaches where the standard was not as clear. Yeah. And it waned off, right? So I think, like you said, you bring in the right guys, you set a standard, you work through that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is this is a little bit hard. Is how do you've touched on it a little bit already with the guys, but how do you make it last, right? How do you make the culture work and be kind of your long-term identity? Because you think about the Ravens, for example. They do such a good job. Every year it is they are the Ravens. They are the Steelers. They are whoever they are. Yep. What do you think the key cog in that? Obviously the personnel, but it's got to be a little bit of the coaching as well.
Well, you're talking about two organizations that build their teams through the draft. Mm-hmm. You're talking about two organizations that make sure they got these high-end veterans teaching these high-end youngsters and draftees. And then the repetition, and it happens over and over and over. See, that's the difference in a team that build themselves somewhat plucking free agency every year. Yeah. Then you got guys from different coaches. These could be winning coaches. And the one thing about football players, any sports guy, if you had success doing something a certain way, you kind of stick to that. Yeah. You stick to that code. But if we got these guys in this building and we keeping 60% of this draft class, 70% of this draft class, 80% of this draft class, before you know it, in 6, 7, 8 years, they only know one way to play. Yeah. And that's how you get longevity, by keeping drafted guys a part of your culture. And the only way you can do that is, 1, draft good, 2, pay the guys you draft second and third deals. That's how you get that in the building.
But just to put something on top of all that, the only way you keep a culture, as long as the Ravens have, is win. You got to win. You can bring a staff in here that sets the tone. If that staff out of here with it a few years, now you got to do it all over again. You see what I'm saying? So one of the things about those guys and about all winning coaches, even when you look back at Pittsburgh, how they was able to be the Steelers of old and new, because they didn't have that many head coaches coming through the door. They probably had 3 in the last.
That's a great point.
3 in the last 50 years.
40 years. 50
you know what I'm saying? Come on now. So when I look at winning teams and winning cultures and teams that have set the standard. When I was in Pampers, they was being a defensive team, and now I'm a grown man. They still a defensive team. Yeah, it's obvious because they didn't have that many guys coming in and out of that door as coaches, and it was able to say when that coach left and he did a hell of a job and won Super Bowls. This new coach had the same kind of mentality, and he's doing the same thing. And they have the nucleus. They have that glue there because they said we're going to draft you guys. We drafting guys that fit what we want to do, and that's one of the first things that Joe Witt and Dan Quinn said. We want guys that's here that's going to do what we want them to do, and they're going to play with their hair on fire. And I can't wait to see it.
Great shot right there, because 3 coaches, 50 years Pittsburgh, 30 years I guess of the Ravens, 2 coaches. Yeah. So I think continuity.
I think that's also kind of goes to like I mean, we were talking about we're talking about players, we're talking about coaches, and I think we also got to talk about ownership too, to a certain extent, right?
Like, you got to
having a guy that's consistent, or a guy-gal group at the top that's consistent and has a vision, right? Because like you said, like since you were a baby, right? The Steelers have been the Steelers. The Ravens have been the Ravens. Their ownership understands who they are and what they want to be. They trust football people to make football decisions, and that's another reason I think I'm so excited.
Not sure how much weight this this carries, but I read something and they said, you know, the Harrison crew wants to kind of, you know, build our team off of what they've seen with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Hey, if that's what they own, then that's a great team to kind of look at and say, this is who I want to be.
That's what you
know
want.
what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just, but it starts with them.
Yeah.
It starts with the ownership also. You know, I'm talking about coach, you're talking about players, but that's where it starts from the top.
Yeah.
They have to have something. They have to have a plan that say, this is what we're going to be. This is who we're going to be. This is how I see us getting there.
Yeah.
And from there, they start putting those layers together, you know, laying those bricks until we get there.
I think that's why one of the reasons this offseason is so exciting to me, right, is because it's the start of that group that says this is the model we're going to follow, right? We brought in a coach that I think does a great job building culture. We brought in a GM that does a great job of identifying culture. And, you know, even just like the energy in the building, like you're walking around the building and you see like these quotes by Muhammad Ali, right? Like, I hated every minute of training, but said, don't quit, suffer now, live the rest of your life as a champion. And that's up on the big monitor out here in the hallway, right? And it's just, there's a different vibe and a different energy. Yes, different message. And it's new every day. There's a new one every day.
You know, every day, and the one before that was, don't worry about yesterday. Worry about today. The only thing that you can control. And I think that's what athletes really get mixed up about this game on draft day and days before. Like, we get drafted thinking, I got 15 years to play this game. You don't. All right? It's none of that's guaranteed. The day after tomorrow ain't guaranteed. All right? So at the end of the day, I think what they're trying to tell them is savor the moment. And put everything you got into it today. And tomorrow might look a little bit better than it did today.
I walk by some of those boards and I smile just knowing that, you know, one of the things about this sport is going to always humble you again. And I remember my sacrifices because I can remember I was cutting friends, cutting, you know, fun, you name it. I cut it out of my daily due just to be able to say I have this moment or have this opportunity.
It's yours.
And like I talk about it because it's just something that brings me joy of knowing how I got into college, basically in the back door, finding my way to get on the team as a walk-on, however way that was, and to be leaving there as a first-round draft pick from that same school. And I remember the sacrifices. Then I got to the league and I got hurt instantly. I'm talking about before I played the game. Rookie season, training camp, fan appreciation night. I remember like it was yesterday. And I was like, guess what? I got a little too big on myself. I didn't blame the injury solely on myself because it wasn't my fault. I was out there flying around. But it happened. But I went back to saying, you know what? I was too big-headed. And I went back to say, you know what? I got to start all over again. I have to start letting all these people in. Carrying all these people, and I got a job to do. You know what I mean? I can't sit here and be like, I made it, I arrived. No, I still have a job to do. So I went back to square one and said, I'm gonna make sure that from this moment, I would not do anything opposite than what I was doing to get here. And that's when I went back and I made it a 14-year career. So it's about sacrificing, man. That's why I walk by and I see some of these quotes. I'm like, I remember feeling like that, man. Like, damn, I got to go out here and train.
Because when you're in it, man, it doesn't, you don't always want to. It doesn't always feel good.
When you're in a hurricane, you feel the rain.
No doubt. And I think, like, the one thing as a player, I was always a little bit like, man, those, like, that motivational talk doesn't really do anything for me because it's like, I was pretty locked in.
Self-motivated.
Yeah, I was, like, locked in. But what I will say, when I went down to Atlanta and Dan was like running that, it just was, it's like how you breathe. Like, it's like every meeting we do like a contest. Like, I remember we did like hammer holds one day, like big 30-pound hammers, and he got me up there with a young guy and it was like, man, you know, you're an old dog, but like, come on, this young guy's looking. And like, that was just like part of every day. Every day was a contest. Someone was going to get up there. You're going to be in front of the team. Like, it wasn't always on the football field. And I just think there's something about that. Like you said, like when people just, or Tana said it, when people just talk about it all the time, eventually you're in the boat or you're outside the boat.
And like you're going to jump in because that's the only thing you know, especially if you're a rookie coming here. Only thing you're going to learn is from the veterans and what the coaches tell you to do. So if it's up-tempo and competition all the time, like I like when they used to say, hey, we no practice today, especially this time of year. We taking the team to the bowling alley. No practice today. We're going to take the team. Because you know what? Now all 53 or 60 or 70 of us get to really get a memory that don't involve sweat and tears.
Bond.
And I think that's the thing, that bonding is something special. And like, again, like I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I had the most fun in my career playing in Atlanta because he did a good job of knowing when to push, knowing when it's time to bond. And I'm hoping that these guys have that same experience here and you know, kind of be that foundational piece for the culture.
Well, no, I seen Defoe walking out the building.
We just
seen him. And he was laughing, grinning, high energy. Oh, we just put that work in.
Yeah.
You didn't see that last year.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I ain't taking no shots at nobody.
Yeah.
But this is a player that was here last year, and a player that was here excited that he ain't got no more energy.
Yeah.
All right, so that tells you where they at right now.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things you guys talked about a lot in that segment, we all talked about, is the players, right? The player, like we talked about the coaches, the GM, the owners, and the players. And one of the ways you do that, as you talked about, Fred, is you do that through the draft, right? Yeah. So for the next segment, we're going to talk about draft dogs.
Dogs.
AKA,
Mississippi State dogs. Just draft the whole team. AKA
Dan Quinn guys. And so you guys have been to the pressers. You guys have seen what that looks like. And I can kind of start this part off. Like when I think of a Dan Quinn guy, I think of a guy that is tough, like well-conditioned, and like relentlessly competitive. Like they just love ball. And so we got a list of like the top 30 guys, you know, they're kind of circling Baylor. And I was like, all of these guys are like Dan Quinn guys, just tough, blue collar, hard nosed dudes.
When I think Dan Quinn guy, I think a guy that just get punched in the mouth like 6 times and just spit a tooth out and just look at you and laugh. Like just
that's all you got.
Just dirty old dog. Just come on, you got to do better than that, man.
I just ate that, homie.
That type of dude.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. And so I think I get excited because I hear you guys who know a lot about football talking about, hey, it's about the guys. Feels like Adam Peters, Dan Quinn are on the same page about the type of guy that they want to bring in. Yeah. And it makes me super excited because we're about to get 7 or 8 good football players coming up here that are going to be ambassadors of that culture, you know? And like, it's always nice when you don't have to bring a young guy along.
It's the first class.
Yeah. It's like, hey man, like, you know what it, like, you know, remember Trent Murphy? Remember that name?
Yeah, I remember playing
for a little bit. Stanford DN.
He told me a story about.
I used to look at Trent Murphy like you and him was brothers. Like
Sergeant Slaughter.
We did look very similar. Yeah. They look very similar. But he told me a story about when he was up at Stanford with Harbaugh. Yeah. Right. And he said, like, Harbaugh would find the bluest of the blue-collar prospects and then basically unleash them on each other. Like, he wanted just the most competitive, hard-nosed dudes, and the young guys were able to set a culture working their way up.
Trying to, because they want to be like those. They set the tone already.
They set the tone. And so I look at this and I say, man, if you get a bunch of 7 dudes, blue-collar, couple that with the older veterans they brought in, I think it's a really interesting
And not to, you know, Fred just made a joke to me, I'm cutting people off all the time. We had a guy
all the time.
We had a guy that called in on Fred. Let's acknowledge that guy.
You got that text? You got that text?
Yeah.
So Tanner sent us a text.
Jason got it. Jason, read it for us.
Yeah, you got it.
They know Tanner be cutting people off.
Hey,
that's what
it was about you, wasn't it?
It's about Fred, but he blames it on me, saying I'm the
Tanner,
one.
Man.
I always say, you know, don't mean to cut you off. Fred coming in, blah, 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 blah.
Fred, I haven't finished a thought with Fred in a while.
I'm like, pardon me.
Jason, what we got?
All right, Fred.
I think this guy, is he saying was from
He's
Canada?
From Toronto.
Yeah,
Toronto. It was the nicest comment.
Yeah, much love from Vancouver, he says.
Yes.
I got a daughter that's from Vancouver.
So he said, essentially hoping that you can relay this message to the on-screen team. So we're going to do that. All right. It's interesting how Fred's perspectives are intriguing and out of the ordinary.
Nice.
Very enjoyable. Thank you for adding to the conversation,
Look
Fred.
at that. Oh, what a nice comment.
But Fred, please try your best to not jump in until your peers have finished their sentences. Please allow yourself to allow your peers to finish their reflections and research thoughts the same way they do for you. Do your best to not jump in and interrupt them. This would nurture the overall flow of the topics discussed. Much love from Vancouver.
Hey, much love from Vancouver. But it's Santana
It's not
be
me,
interrupting people.
Hey, it's not me, bro.
Hey, I be halfway doing the sentence. Santana be like, hold up.
I don't know if I've never seen him interrupt you.
I normally have some, so I'm going to tell you, I have a problem. I forget things quick. It's crazy. Like things that's right now on my mind, I will forget it. But if you ask me something 10 years from now, I remember it to the the point.
Because you tell the most detailed
that's
story.
What I'm saying.
Like, this person was there. This person I had this on, and then.
But I can't things that's on my mind now. If you say something too long, I'm like, hold on, let me get it off. So the reason why I said I didn't mean to cut you off, I was saying something, but I had to hear that first.
I always feel like I never feel like it's rude. I feel like he hears me
because he knows. He knows I'm not going to be rude. Fred, so basically saying he's rude.
So a little behind the curtain thing here with producing. I see these comments because we get them from time to time. They keep cutting each other off. You got to stop doing that. I could tell you guys stop doing that,
Yeah.
right? And you're all very coachable, but then you're going to lose that
Some of that
camaraderie,
edge. Yeah.
that like just the guys sitting in the basement watching football, talking football, right? That's what I want.
Yeah.
So that's why I allow it. So
Okay.
it's
We
going to annoy
appreciate it.
some friends, but I love when you guys are just
No doubt.
It's
Just cutting it up.
guys that love football.
And by the way, we love Canada. I love Drake. I love Drake. I love Ryan Reynolds. Hey, I love them all. Plus, we wouldn't have the Nationals if it wasn't for Canada. It used to be the Montreal Expos.
Oh, right.
Thank you, Canada.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Canada.
Fred knows so much.
All right,
But
so
just to
Tanner,
chime in on
what was
that-
your idea? What was your idea?
Just to chime in on that, I'm surprised I still remember it. No, we was talking about setting the culture and bringing guys in, like you talked about those blue collar guys going at each other. It reminds me so much of school, being in college. Like we had a group of guys when Butch Davis got the team back in '96 or '95. The guys that was there was still on the team, and when he brought his 2000 graduating class in, and then us the 2001 graduating class, which came in '96 and '97. The tone was set by us. You had Adrian James out the gate being a starter. You had Bubba Franks a starter. Al Blaze a starter.
Dude,
Nate
what a
Webster a
crazy team.
starter. And so now you see these young guys come in with a different mentality.
Yeah.
And the guys who was there, who was upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Because they was used to something different.
Yeah.
And Coach, even though that they got a year or two in before us with Coach Davis, they still was trying to catch
It still
on
wasn't
to
Davis's
to
boys.
the bingo.
Yeah.
And so, we talk so much about how you can always tell the difference with organizations or with coaches when they bring in their guys.
Yeah.
Because the guys that's fortunate enough that can stick around, they was just those guys always. They was on a different team.
Yeah.
But you normally see guys that come in and weed those guys out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, and I'm not looking forward to seeing that because I think all the guys that we got here, they have that in them. They shown that through their Pro Bowl seasons, through these new contracts. We have a bunch of dogs here already, but we need those dogs to ignite and be one as a group with these new guys, because you can see just from the conversations that we heard, some of these interviews with some of the other guys, a lot of these guys got a bone to pick.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
with
A lot
the
of
whole
these
league.
guys, a lot of these guys got a chip on their shoulder. You know what I mean? So that to me makes a team. When you got a chip, when you have something to play for, when you out there playing like, and this is not about me, but I remember talking to one of my old receivers. And he was a guy that came in highly recruited.
Yeah.
And he made it to the Giants. He was a second round pick. And we talking, he's a preacher now. He told me, Tanner, you know what difference about you and me? He said, I wasn't a dog, bro. You had dog in you. He said, you was behind me and I just felt you every day. Just you weren't saying nothing, but you was right there behind me. And before you know it, I blink, I was behind you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how it is. You ain't got to come in here and rah-rah. You just going to be about your business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, so it's an awesome opportunity to get some new guys in, kind of culture from the top. But I think the interesting thing about college is a little different from the pros. And this is a technical thing.
Yeah.
Is in college you get like 30 guys.
Yeah.
So you can get 30 dudes like towing the line right away.
Yeah.
Here you're getting 7,
They grown
10,
men,
right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you got to develop a little bit. Then you got a couple free agents. So it's a little bit slower process. But I do think when you look at what Adam Peters has done from a free agent standpoint, and so Dan Quinn, the whole staff, right?
Yeah.
They've brought, like you said, Dana, those guys that are just a little bit messed up in the best kind of way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like football is life.
Football is like I feel bad. I don't know if y'all do. Y'all should, because I looked at y'all too. Your body ain't no better than mine. Yeah, y'all. Is it to the point like now when we walk to the cafeteria and I walk past the weight room, and sometimes I peek in there.
You don't like walking in there. I walk in there with my head high. Because I know I just walked from out of there a couple of minutes ago. Come on.
Listen, I walk in there and I be seeing these dudes. I be like, you know what? I used to be one of these dudes. But just the work they putting in.
Yeah.
I like, man, we used to put that work in and we so far removed from that much work being put in. And I say, it make me feel bad walking past that sometimes.
Yeah, I never want to see that again for myself, putting that much work in. Trust me, I did it for a long time. Now I do it just to maintain, and it's not that hard.
It hurts looking at it like you were talking about Eckler.
I'm okay.
Watching this dude lift weights, it's like, dude, you never made it.
Hey, I'm
like,
okay.
he made it. You never made it to the league.
I'm okay.
Yeah, but you didn't like lifting weights before.
Yeah,
though,
I'm
by the
gonna
way.
say you
I was a
wasn't
grass athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I'm just
put me
saying.
on the grass.
That's not your landscape, right?
Well, no.
Yeah.
Thing about it is, it was one thing I really want to do my whole career, I want to stay flimsy, rubbery.
Yeah, you want to stay
because I
loose.
feel if I stay rubbery, I would never get injured. I never really got injured.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think sometimes when guys lift too much and they walking around,
They're too tight. Yeah.
too tight, and then they be like, "Oh, I tore a hamstring." Your hamstring ain't moved in 3 months.
But you ain't have that. Most guys, it's just the way they built. Because quick twitch guys gonna pull hamstrings.
Yep.
Very explosive guys, especially who have
Thick thighs.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I couldn't help it. You know what I mean? I just go out and run.
Yeah.
And especially when I get the top gear, sometimes I can't slow that down and like that. You feel that thing, pull on you. So it is what it is.
So kind of to help the fans maybe understand this DAWG argument, we're going to play a game called the coin flip game. Coin flip arguments is what the whole thing was. So what producer Jason has done is he's picked pairings, matchups, right? We got Chop Robinson versus Darius Robinson, Amarius Mims versus Olu Fashanu, Johnny Wilson versus Brendan Rice, Drake May versus Jaden Daniels, right? Yeah. And so we're going to flip a coin and we're going to have to argue for one or the other, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, these are all guys that are the same position. It's going to go around the same area.
Yeah.
So you might have to make a decision on one of these two guys.
All right.
And, so for instance, it'll be Logan versus Fred. I'll flip a coin to see who Logan is going to defend and who Fred is going to defend.
All right, cool.
So you don't know which side you're going to be on.
All right,
which
that's
player.
fine.
But we're basically making an argument as to why this guy
Why this guy
Why should we draft this guy?
And we're not saying this guy is going to get drafted by the team.
No.
Yeah.
But we're just saying these are some names people know and
we
why
plead our
they
case.
would kind of be
Plead the case for
pushing
this.
for
plead
the
the case,
Commanders.
Who do you guys want to start with? I mean, I put them in an order here.
I want to do the Robinsons, man. The Robinson
let's do it.
brothers.
All right.
Like,
Robinsons.
Chop versus Darius.
gosh, it's so good.
So Logan and Fred, you guys got this one? Is that
Yes,
right?
we do.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a virtual coin flipper
Do we
here.
do anything the old-fashioned way? Hold up. I got a coin in my
That
pocket.
thing's gonna
It's
roll
gonna
way
bounce
over
all the way
there.
around the
I'm
studio.
just saying, though, we gotta stop with the technology. They flipping coins and iPhones
Well, I don't
now.
want to flip. Where's the
Flip
coin
it in the
going?
iPhone, man.
All right, that's fine. Flip
That-
it
that-
out.
yeah.
You don't have
Go ahead.
yeah. Why you reach in your pocket like you got a coin?
All right,
Where's the coin, Fred? No way you have a quarter in your.
I got a coin in my. I carry rusty pennies in my pocket in case somebody need an extra penny.
Which
I'm here for
your
it.
pocket's too tight to get in
That's
there.
why Fred's always got his 2 cents. All right, so Logan, if it's heads, it's Chop you're defending or arguing for.
Okay.
If it's tails, it's Darius Robinson.
All right.
So here comes
Go.
the flip. And
Can we trust digital?
heads. So you got Chop.
I got Chop.
Fred, you got
I
Darius
feel like I
Robinson.
just played the slot machine.
But would you rather defend Chop?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm talking about this
okay.
was-
You just feel like you were
No,
cheated.
I
every
got
point.
Darius. I love Darius
Okay.
Robinson.
So do you want him to go?
I go first.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
All right, most definitely. I'm going to go Darius Robinson for the obvious fact. He's a huge human being who can really get out there and run. Not only a great athlete, I think he timed better than people think he did. I think he's stronger than people think he was. And he's also a dog. He dogged people at the Senior Bowl up and down the field. He showed that he can not also rush off the edge. He started his career rushing in Missouri from the inside. So he's a guy, especially in an odd front, he can play everything from probably the 5 to the 7. He can do anything you need him to do. Plus, I think he's a day one starter. And we talked about this. He got that Dan Quinn dog in him.
You got that dog in him. That's for sure.
Damn sure.
So I got Chop Robinson from Penn State, and the only thing I got to say about him, and the only thing I need to say about him, is the man's got juice. He is the most twitched up, explosive pass rusher in the draft class. And if there's one thing you know, watching Dan Quinn football teams, Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys, they have a pass rusher that brings the absolute heat when it comes to rushing the passer, right? Speed kills, man. Fastest 10-yard split for a player over 250 in the history of the combine. When you watch him, man, this guy's got that great lateral burst, doesn't bend overly well, but man, it's like he's got that kind of teleportation ability that says, and again, Dan,
he just finds himself in the backfield.
just finds himself there. And again, it's not perfect. You got to develop him, but I think Dan sees that. The line coach sees that and says, man, you cannot coach the fastest 10-yard split in the history of the NFL. You know, coming from San Francisco, you know what they had?
Yeah.
They had a thing, you're going to have to bleep me here. Get the off the ball. They had that, right?
Yeah.
That was a metric that they timed
Yes.
with the 49ers. So no one does it better in the history of the combine than this man right here. And I think these coaches say, we want that ability here. Let's get after the quarterback.
Want that dog.
Want that dog.
All right.
Oh, that was exciting. I'm hyped for both. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Tana
Wide receiver.
versus Fred or
Fred.
Logan. Who wants to do the other one?
Whatever. I'll take it. You want to do it? What's
Fred,
that?
you want to do it?
Fred, how about Fred can chime in if he wants to, because we can't stop him.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So we have Johnny Wilson from Florida State
Wilson.
and Brendan Rice from USC.
of
All right.
Jerry.
So Wilson will be heads, Rice will be tails for you, Tana. So here comes the virtual flip. It's very suspenseful. Tails. So you got Rice.
Ooh.
All right. However you want to.
You got the goat babies.
I got the GOAT son, right?
The baby goats.
Brendan Rice.
Yes.
I mean, I'm one of those guys. When you have a daddy that done what Jerry Rice have done in this league, it got to be somewhere in you. And Jerry Rice had a son that played here with me. He
Jerry Jr.
Jerry Jr. was in a camp with me.
Yeah.
And
When did you stay with him, by the way?
although he didn't make it, have a long career in the NFL, he bounced around a couple of times. You could see it in him. He just wasn't big enough. He just wasn't tall enough. And he just didn't get a chance to go out there and display that. But when I saw Brendan Rice play, once he was at Arizona State for 1 year, something like that. Then he transferred over to USC.
Yeah.
The one thing that had my eyes this wide watching him, man, the guy know how to go after the football. Last year alone, man, he was the guy who we wish that could come here. He was his favorite receiver. He was Cato's favorite receiver. And like I said before, when it's just in your blood, man, it's no denying what you can be. All you have to do is come to the right team to coach it out of him. Now I would want a bigger receiver, so I'm kind of mad you got Johnny to kind of talk about.
Dude, he's 6'3", though.
Brendan's 6'3".
He's 6'3", but I would want the biggest. I would want something. I would want something a little taller than that.
He want an SUV.
I want an excursion. For a receiver.
Oh, they was terrible trucks.
No, but one of the things about him that's good, man. At 6'3", he can run, he can catch, and he would be a great implement. You know, he would bring something to this receiver core that we don't have. You know what I mean?
And I know I'm arguing for Johnny Wilson, but I got anecdotes, man. I went to the Senior Bowl. He came out of the interview process and said, I am the best receiver in the draft. I said, I am that dude. Every time there was a 50-50 opportunity, he was coming down with it, standing over people. Like, there's a grit and a toughness and a mentality there that gets you juiced up. But I'm arguing for Johnny Wilson.
No. I would take a Mad's GOAT baby anytime. Because like you said, the GOAT's DNA, but just like his dad when he came out of Mississippi Valley State, very disrespected. Like, that's a motivation that you cannot get. Johnny Wilson,
so
what you got?
To me, Johnny Wilson is probably the easiest to argue. There are few people. There's none. Actually, none.
There's never been a receiver this tall.
No receiver as big as him. No receiver with his arms that long. He had a 9.78 RAS score. He ran a 4.52 at 6'6.5", a half now, and 231 pounds.
I'm just tossing it.
231 pounds. Yeah. Like, you watch him on film, he's got it all in the bag. It's just about a consistency issue. And so if I'm Dan, what did I say in my press conference? I want unique, like,
unicorn
freaks. There is nobody more unique, more freaky than this guy. Now, you got to put it all together, but I'm saying, hey, coaches, we can get this out of this guy. We can find a way to say, this dude, not only can he run routes, Hannah, he can sink his hips.
No, I watch.
He's 6'7", he's 6'7". Yeah. Like, there's just, the argument is in his measurables. And I think, like, if you say Chop Robinson's the freakiest to ever do it, Johnny Wilson is not far off from a receiver standpoint. So I'm going to take a shot. You know, I'm going to kind of twist the GM's arm and say, man, I want this dude with this high ceiling and see if we can get that done.
All right, question. Out of these two players, who can make an emphasis before being coached by pros? Like, I see Johnny Wilson as an instant red zone target. Like, I don't need you to teach him how to run fades.
Don't gotta teach him nothing. To say, man, I'm gonna throw it up to you. Just go over top of here. You're right.
I mean,
and that's why I want to chime in about both of them, because I think, you know, one of them, when it comes to Brendan, you know, he just has it in his blood. And then you saw him play well. He's a guy that improved every year. You know, in the collegiate level, that's what you want to see. You want to see guys that made strides each season. He showed that, and I think he's ready for this league. But when I watched Johnny Wilson, I'm a big Florida State fan growing up. No longer root for him now. My cousin coaches there. So when we talk about different guys, and I've always asked him about Johnny, because I'm like, it just always seemed odd to me that, especially last year, like, he was the guy, when they throw it to him, he was coming down with it, you know? And it just seemed like he always open. I'm like, bro, is he running or not? He said, Tanner, it looks like that. But he's blowing past guys. He had a big stride. So, but he's one of those guys. So, I mean, nice argument, man, and you couldn't go wrong with either one of those guys.
Hey, get the giraffe.
But I'm just saying, I'm going to say this too, because Johnny Wilson's my guy. But Brendan Rice got that dog.
Yeah, that dog.
Man, we'll take that dog.
You hate that dog. Don't pet that dog.
Hey, beware the dog. I got a sign at the gate.
Hey, let's talk about tackles.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, the big guys here. All right, Amarius Mims from Georgia.
Amarius.
Right?
Daniels.
You want to argue with him so bad. I don't feel it.
Olu Fashanu from Penn State.
Sean knew.
A shun'em.
All right, Fred, you want to take one of these?
Yes, I do.
And
Yeah.
Logan, you
I'll
got
take
like.
one, yeah.
All right, so Fred, Mims is heads, Fashanu is tails.
All right.
You will get
Heads.
tails. You got Fashanu.
That's the way it goes.
Do you want to switch? I'll switch
I know
with you.
I was supposed to get for Sean New. I'm taking Mims. I'm taking the biggest man in the draft. Listen, at 6'8", 900 pounds, Amarius Mims, I just want to meet his daddy. And his mom, like, who
Dude,
made
what
this
if
man?
they were small? What if they're like small?
Like 5'6"?
Yeah, dude.
No.
His hand is as big as this piece of
His
paper.
paper, like-
that.
Yes.
Like his fingers go
Yes.
all the way out there.
Man, listen, even if he doesn't have technique right now, even if he's raw at that side, he could just engulf ends.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure this out as the year go on. Well, I just manhandle you right now. Sometimes it's not about winning, getting off the bus, because sometimes some guys look the part, but they ain't the part. But this guy is the part.
Yeah.
And he's raw with no bad habit. Like, that's the one plus about being raw.
Only 7 starts.
Only 7 starts. Guess what?
He's a ball of clay.
I got 17 for you to make this year.
You can mold him to what you want to be, right?
We will get there.
Yeah.
Mammoth of a man. You're talking the next 12 to 15 years, going the backside for my quarterback, blind side. I will take Amarius Mims. And like you said, it's only 7 games. But guess what? He know how to play some football. I can teach him. And whatever he doesn't know from the dough, I think he has enough raw strength, raw ability to chew up defensive ends that cannot handle him physically.
Well, we know he got size, but do he have a dog in him?
No, he's a Georgia Bulldog. He got dog in him. He got a dog tattoo on his arm.
He's a freaky guy to watch on film, man.
Yeah.
It's like I've said this, but it's like there's no more perfect encapsulation of what he is as a player. He looks like the really good high school player playing at high school.
Yeah,
like
that shouldn't be there.
And you're watching him go against Ohio State and Alabama, and you're like, man,
He's not breaking a sweat.
yeah. And he's a rotation. It's weird to watch. Again, 7 starts, but physically, man, there's not many people on the face of the earth that look like that. I got Fashanu.
Yeah.
So Fashanu is probably got the best footwork of any tackle in this class, right? So he's got those laser quick feet, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at guys like Trent Williams, guys like Tyron Smith, they've got exceptional footwork. And he is probably got the best footwork of any offensive lineman in this class. I've heard you talk about guys that are a little bit off.
Yeah.
I heard this guy is a nerd, a football nerd.
Yeah.
Lives, eats, breathes ball. He's got a 4.0 in school. Like, dude is going to die on the hill for you. He's
Local
a
kid.
young player, going to get better.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", he's 325, and a lot of people have questions about his strength. I think you're just going to get that guy developed. And so to me, if we're talking about dogs, I think this guy's got a little bit more of that Dan Quinn dog in him, right?
Yeah.
Because of the passion for football, because of the athlete you see. And again, you won't find a bigger Amarius Mims fan than me, but I know he's got his limitations. I don't think you see those same limitations with Fashanu.
But I also know that they're playing in that SEC now.
Yeah.
Because it ain't about the game sometimes. It's about practice.
Yeah, he's about to practice,
man.
And he's practicing against
that competition too.
Jordan Day, like these dogs.
Who's the guy that got drafted by Philly last year in 31st pick, the defensive edge rusher, the skinny guy?
Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith. There we go.
So he's went against Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis and all these dudes. Jalen Carter at practice. So he learned a lot in practice also. I got to trust that.
No doubt.
All right, this is the heavyweight bout here. Tana and Fred.
I'm going Daniels. Don't even care. I'm giving him May since he stole Mills from. I'm just gonna go Jaden Daniels. You got to
go ahead.
He got to flip. He
Drake
can
May
have
versus Jaden Daniels. No, that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Jaden Daniels. What more could I say?
That the film ain't said.
Hey, one of the things that I've been kind of like irritated about, because when you get these draft gurus, they try their best to give you praise but bring us something up more than their praise, like something that's going to probably overshadow the praise about why they think you're not supposed to be the number 2 overall pick or the number 2, quarterback taken. And the thing I have to say about Jaden Daniels, when it comes to when you're watching this guy on film, not only is he's a guy, I heard one of the guy, I can't say his name, he said, "Oh, he's a great prospect. He's a great talent coming out, but I think he's special because he can run." And I say, hold on, that's not the only thing he can do. The man threw for over 3,000 this year. Yeah. He also was on point with most of those throws. He's accurate as probably the best of quarterbacks that's already in this league.
He's growing on me a lot.
And not only did he do that well, he was great in the pocket. Yeah. He found a way to slide in and out of the pocket, and when things kind of, when mayhem arrived, he made sure he found the door to get out of there. Yeah. So, I hate when a guy say, he could be great because his running ability, but no, he's a great passer also. So please highlight some of the things that makes him a great quarterback, not just about running, because he can run. Yeah. So I think Jaden Daniels would be special in this league, special for us, special for me, because one, not only can he come in and play right now, he's a guy with accuracy. He's a guy who can put the ball up and down the field. If you want to say intermediate, deep, he can do all that. And last but not least, if you get back there too fast, he can tuck that thing and get missing. And one of the best things you can have to your run game is a running quarterback. So now we're not going to see these defenses with their ears peeled back talking about we finna get after them. They're going to sit back there scared because they don't want to see a guy like Jaden Daniels tuck that ball and run.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So we're talking about dogs, right? Yeah. Talking about dogs. And so when I see him play, and everyone says, "Oh, he takes big hits." Yeah. One thing, I think that's a little bit of dog, man.
He gets up.
He gets back up.
I think you're just like, I want to win this game. Yeah. It's 4th and 1. I'm keeping this football. I'm putting my head down. I don't care if I'm 195 and I'm making this thing happen. So people say that's a negative. I understand why that's a negative. But
we could teach him how not to take those
bless,
hits.
Man. He wants to win football games. And the other thing, I got to say this too about him. Yeah. When the game's on the line, dude makes plays. Yeah. There's a little bit of dog in there too. So
all right, get out the way. All right.
I'm playing the fence here. I'm going to say some positive things.
No, most definitely. Get out the way. Clear the room.
Talk to me.
For one quarterback face Drake May. Not only is he huge because we watch him walk in the building.
He's a big dude.
Big dude. Think a la Josh Allen. Josh Allen comes out. He's wild. He's erratic. Oh, he can run. He can throw. And I also want to take this when I think about this guy. Let's not talk about, everybody want to talk about his worst year of college football, which is this year when he was robbed of all the talent and things he had to do it and kind of took too much on his shoulder and tried to win every game with every throw. Now, you go back to his first year, second year, and look at all of these things. Me and the producer went through the numbers, like quarterbacks that played as long as he did, started, put it like this. He's been so good in such a short amount of time compared to some of these other guys that's in there. 5th, 6th, 7th, Bo next year. So all I'm saying is this is a guy that gave us a sample size of up and down. He's given us glimpse of greatness. He showed us glimpse of consistency. All he needs to do is be coached right, clean that footwork up. But now you have to ask yourself, Washington fans, I'm talking to you. Would you do it again? In a draft, we had a chance to take Justin Herbert. We took Chase Young. In that draft, we had the number 2 pick. Do you feel it? Could be the same thing again. So ask yourself, do you want to pass on Justin Herbert again?
That's weird, yeah. That's good. Good. So first let me say this. We would be stoked as a podcast if either one of those guys was here.
Ain't no lose.
There ain't no losing. Yeah. For the purposes of this show, I just want to say this. When I watch him, I see a dog. When the ball's got to be in there, tight window throws, big time throws, third down, like dude can spin it. He also has the ability to kind of do some of that like off schedule Mahomesian.
Left hand.
Yeah, left hand craziness. So he's a good football player, a little bit of a dog. They're all dogs.
I also want to say, too, I hate the fact that we have to pick either him or Jaden because I feel like both of those guys are very talented. I think the only knock that we hearing more about Drake is it might not be ready to play right now. Who knows? You don't know that.
You don't know that.
The guy come in here. That's what I'm saying. Then you're saying if one guy's ready and the other guy's not. You don't know that. Both of these guys are talented. I think you can't miss if you have either one of them. So I don't want to get our fans to be on one side or the other. Yeah. Bro, if we get either one of these guys, we're going to be okay.
Win.
You know?
Yeah, and I think we've already talked about like the culture that's been established, the team that's been built up. Like I think there's a plan for either one of these guys. So just got to make sure that works out. It's the right fit.
2 running backs for whoever get drafted, 2 to 3 wide receivers already on the roster, veteran tight end. Hopefully we solidify the tackle position. I think it's ready made.
Yeah.
100%. All right, so now
Better than instant grits.
time for our special announcement. Okay?
All right.
So this is a big deal, right? The fans have spoken.
Well, all right.
We will do a live show per your request. The feedback on the last episode was so great when we asked if we wanted to do a live show. It's happening. Date to be determined. We'll figure that out, and location. And we also have merch.
Yeah, we do.
We got shirts.
Got merch.
That Hawk outside.
That Hawk is
That's
outside.
not outside right now. Right?
Outside.
Yes.
And so make sure you guys keep listening for details, and we will have exclusive offers for our most loyal fans.
And what about that Fred Smoot is always right shirt?
Is that a shirt that we're doing, Jason?
Yeah, got to be.
Jason, comment on that.
Definitely gonna have a shirt when we put our foot in Fred's face. Kick him in the face.
This karate kick his face. But yeah, so guys, thank you so much for supporting
As
us
always.
and supporting the show. Thanks so much for the feedback, and make sure you tune in next week for more Commanders content.
I got microfiber.
And wipe your face off, Fred.